Well, hello, my members. I am so excited to bring to you today our guest coach. Now, you guys know that every month I try to bring to you a coach that has an expertise in an area that is not my expertise, but also aligns with your health and wellness. And this one is really special. Now, Sarah VanHoose is a financial expert. She is a Ramsey certified personal finance coach. And you might be saying, like, okay, Carrie, what does this have to do with our nutrition and our health and wellness? And I know from personal experience, when I finally got a hold of my finances, and this was even before I really got healthy, somebody had introduced me to Dave Ramsey and his approach. In fact, it was Coach Shannon's husband, one of our coaches, that first introduced me to the Dave Ramsey concept probably about 10 years ago. It changed everything. We went from being a real struggling couple, not just financially, but emotionally, our relationship. And it was at the root of it, so much had to do with finances. And it was after I got the finances in order that I was able to then realize where the other holes in my life were. And then I got a hold of my health and wellness. And for all of you, it may be the opposite. You are now in a place where your health and wellness is like, you don't have to keep searching for solutions, right? We're just going to keep going. And now you have the capacity to be able to see where the other areas are causing you stress or heartache or things like that. And for a lot of us, it's financial. So, Sarah, hi.
Hey, so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, I've been looking forward to this since we met. We met back in October. And when you and I first connected, I just thought, gosh, there's so much synergy here. And I love the concept of synergy because it's when two things or more than one thing come together that make it better than individually. And you offer so many solutions and ideas and kind of a way of thinking that me alone, I'm not able to offer my members. So I feel like we're going to have a lot of synergy in
Yes.
this conversation. So we know, and my members, you guys know this, one of the massive things that goes on in our lives that impacts our health and wellness is stress. And we could be doing all the things right, but when we have high levels of stress, it actually can impact not just our weight loss, but getting to our optimal health. And Sarah is an expert in helping women and men, but really you do have a lot of experience working with women on how to handle your money so it causes less stress. Because it's like, we can't just say just be less stressed, right? You've got to do some things around it. And if finances are a root of that, which I think they are for the majority of us, we got to figure out a way to manage it and mitigate it. So, Sarah, how do we do this?
Well, I love that you talked about margin, Carrie, and allowing for a little bit more breathing room. When you start to have a little bit more of that capacity in your life, it does illuminate other areas where you're like, well, I thought that I was gonna fix it all over here, but it turns out I still have some stress. You can help correlate and figure out where it is. Like you said, finances is a huge stressor around for women. I feel like as women, we are carrying a lot of that burden. Sometimes, we're managing our household, if we've got kids around, and the checkbook, or whatever the checkbook looks like these days is often sometimes something that is in our pocket as well. And so managing all those things while trying to keep everything afloat can just be an incredibly stressful period.
Yeah.
When I get folks on the phone that are wanting to be or curious about what I offer or what coaching looks like, I ask them how they're feeling, like what's their struggle is. They are tired of being tired. They are tired of being stressed out, and it is so very clearly wearing on them. So the number one thing that helps, and I too, I love that, like, nutrition and finances, like, they go hand in hand. Like, some of the same analogies will apply.
Oh my gosh,
First,
for sure.
you've got to create some awareness. So just like you create awareness about what your intake is or what you're eating, same
Hmm.
thing goes with your finances. Start to become more aware of your spending habits, of your saving habits. When do you spend? Is it emotionally charged? Are you going out for some retail therapy? Just start to be more aware of your spending is really kind of first and foremost. And
Yeah, Sarah, I'd love to just dig into that a little bit because
yeah,
in the very first month that people are working with us, we do our 4 weeks to wellness lifestyle launch. And that is a major thing that I don't even advertise to people that they're going to be doing because just by taking a look at what you have to be doing differently, it forces you to almost look at what I have been doing. And so there's built-in self-awareness there. But it is amazing. My mom and dad are actually going through my program right now, and they've been through it before, but they kind of fell off and they came back on. And my mom is texting me daily, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how many times your dad just goes for muffins in the pantry randomly without thinking. And it's just that level of self-awareness, because until you know, you can't do anything.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
It's all about those habits too, right? Like some of our habits are good, some of our habits are bad, but we don't, or maybe not bad or good, but like productive towards our goals or unproductive towards our
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah. Serve us
Yeah.
or don't serve us, right? Yeah.
Yes, right. So, yeah, it's exactly serving. So creating again that awareness and then figuring out what to do about it next. So I
Well,
use
how do you create awareness with your finances? Is
yeah.
it really just like taking note of stuff? You know what I mean? Like writing
Honestly,
it down?
I call it like you just need to pause. You need to pause before you purchase. Pause. Okay, like
Mm.
what am I doing here? What is this for? Like, is it this random Amazon spree because you've got 10
'Cause
free
that's
minutes?
easy to
Like,
do.
yes, yeah. So just pause and ask yourself, okay, like, all right, what am I doing? Was this on my list? Like, is this something that our family needs? Am I just bored? Did I get a sales email? Like, create some awareness and just pause for just like 2.5 seconds
Yeah.
to see what you're doing. You don't, and especially initially, you don't have to stop with your checkout if you don't want to, but you do need to create awareness around when those habits kick in for you.
Okay, great. Like those triggers kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Okay. And then the 5-step plan that I use with my clients is really it's really simple, but simple works, simple works.
My word this
Uh,
year is simplify. So
oh,
I am a
awesome.
fan.
Okay. Okay. So step one is to dream. You know what? As women, like grown up women, we've forgotten how to dream. We've forgotten what our dreams really look like. And it's more than a goal. It's like, what do you really want? Like, what do you want out of life? What do you want over the next few years? What are you going to give yourself permission just to sit and dream and think about, especially as it relates to your finances? And finances play a role in so many other factors of our lives. We often need money in order to do something.
Mhm.
So start by dreaming. And the second step is prepping. You got to prep your head and your heart for change. So it's not just the desire to do it, but there's going to be some level of change that has to take place, and you got to be ready to go all in. So that second piece is a little bit of the heart work in addition to the head work. The
So
third
when
is
you're
all
saying prepping, you're talking like mentally.
mentally. Yeah, right.
Because I think
Mentally,
about what we prep, right? And I am not a big fan of hours of meal prep. We don't like, some people like to do that. I don't. But I got to get to the grocery store. I got to have the right foods in my fridge. So there's a physical prep. There's also a mental prep, right? That's just like, what are my intentions this week? What are my intentions when I walk into this restaurant? What are my intentions when I walk into a party? And that's what you're thinking about, right? Like prepping
yes.
intentionally.
Right. It's that mental prep. Yeah, more than just like busting out your checkbook or the spreadsheet or whatever, right? It's this right emotional connection that you need to do in order to make a change. And the third is all about the plan. You have to make a plan for your money. Or else you will lose it. Like there's a hole in your purse. If you don't make
Yes.
a plan for your money, it will make a plan for you. So
I say
staying,
that all the time. I say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
yeah,
And we talk a lot about that with time management, because I would say that's a level of expertise that I have, in that we're looking at giving every minute kind of with margin a job. And I know Dave Ramsey talks a lot about giving every dollar a job.
right, exactly, right. So your budget, whatever that looks like to people, I often get the question, well, what budget should I use? Like, what app should I use? The answer is whatever you're going to continue to use. So I
Mhm.
don't care if it's pen and paper, I don't care if it's a spreadsheet or an app, whatever you think is going to work for you, like you will make
Forever.
that tool work. Exactly, right. You can't give up on the tool, right? You can switch tools, but you just have to find something that works for you. So that plan around your budget, like every month, I want you to figure out like how you're going to spend that money. And once you kind of get more practice with it, we're going to make a quarterly budget. We're going to make an annual budget so that you can make a
Oh,
plan
geez.
for your money, yeah, moving forward. So you can really have some good projection. And it's really motivating to see what you can do with your money when you're intentional.
So when you're talking about like an annual budget, if I say I want to pay off $10,000 off my mortgage, that's sort of like where, okay, so that if that's my annual goal, then I have to break it down into what does that look like quarterly and monthly, right?
Right. Right.
Got it. Got it. I love that you talked about that long term. We talk about sustainability all the time. We talk about why diets fail because they aren't meant to last a long term. And if we just keep doing these things like throw a credit card balance onto a 0% credit card and do these short term things that are not actually changing our practices, in a year, we're going to be likely worse off than we were even this year. And one of my best friends, her father said to me, "You gave everybody $100,000. I guarantee you, most people will be in the same place they are 10 years from now." And
Yeah.
I find that to be really interesting because it's like we're not changing our actions to
Yes.
go along with our desires.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I had this really great conversation yesterday with a gal, and she's an older woman, and she wants to help out her kids. And she said, "I just want to give them. What do you think about me just giving them some money? I think that that would be a good idea." And I said, "Actually, I said it's not a good idea, and here's why. It's because if they don't choose to change their habits and their practices now, that money is not going to do them any good. It's a band-aid for a much larger issue. You got to get to the root of the problem when it comes to just the heart space, the head space, and what your plan and intention is to do with your money."
I love that. So I think there are two major things that we are not taught when we are kids: food, nutrition, and money.
Yeah.
And those are the two that screw us up forever. How have we not figured out that at a young age, this is what we need to start teaching? My two girls are 14 and 15, and actually 16, my goodness. And they have jobs because they know they're not getting a car on their, they have to earn it and they have to give, save, spend, right? So they have to put a certain amount of money in give, 10% in give, 20% in save, and the rest is spend. But they have a goal for a car, so that changes things a little bit. But what I realized is I was never taught that. I was also never taught how to eat, which is why I was all screwed up on that side. But it was why we were all screwed up financially. I remember my mom taught me how you can charge on certain credit cards so you could play the game as to when they're due and not and pay the minimum. And like she had this whole game going on with credit cards. That's what I learned. So
Right.
we were in so much debt. And it wasn't until I learned the Dave Ramsey method where I put my money to work for me. But it's also not easy. It's also the discipline of declining and saying no to certain things
Mhm.
that you want.
Yeah. Yeah, as grown-ups, we have to do the grown-up action. Like you don't get everything that you want, and everything that you look at that's pretty, you don't deserve. So we have to disconnect like what we think we deserve because we work hard. Oh, it's like the nutrition thing is like there too, right? I deserve a
Yes.
cookie, right? I worked hard today, like I worked out hard, right? We don't deserve it. You got to make a plan for what that looks like. So
Yes.
that yeah, that fourth step is around flexibility. So you can make the best plan. It can be the most beautiful 1 year plan, 1 month plan, 3 month plan, whatever you're looking at. Life's going to happen. You're going to have to rush your kid to the hospital, your dog to the vet, whatever, like the water heater is going to go out. You've got to figure out how to remain flexible on the plan, figure it out for the moment without falling off the wagon entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to learn to be flexible. Otherwise you'll give up. And if I don't help teach my clients, okay, what are we going to do in this situation? Like, what's the best, course of action to keep you chasing your goals while still addressing whatever the emergency is in the moment.
Sarah, it's like so much. This is why I was all excited when we met in October because it is so closely aligned, right? Like we can't be strict in our nutrition all the time because there are going to be birthday parties that we have to be able to do once a week. We want to be able to go out on a great date night with our spouse and not feel food can't make us feel guilty. Money can't either. But also, I always say like we can't control the circumstances, but we can control our response to the circumstances. And if you have a plan and action to control that, then to me, it's like we are in control of it all, right? We have that ability to figure out a solution. um it's not enough to have a plan because I think a plan is one thing. How many times have I written out a plan and not actually done it? So that execution of it. But I also talk about excuses. Like we can easily justify, well, it was my daughter's birthday, or well, it was, so and so needed blank, whatever it is. And we can justify it with reasons, but I think at the end of the day, if it doesn't follow our plan, it's really just an excuse, or our plan needs to shift.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that accountability piece, especially as you're talking about, so many of us didn't learn how to do this growing up. So you're learning it as a 30, 40, 50-year-old person. You got to practice. You need some support and practice. This is where a coach comes in to help guide
Yes.
you until you are in a good spot to kind of go out on your own. So having somebody to help hold you accountable, to help teach you, to help instruct you, to help encourage you is really important component. So I think that's where our services are so valuable, because we help people through the messy newness of it sometimes.
Yeah, and then just think about, as you're learning it, how you can then be teaching your kids this.
Yes.
Because what a life-changing opportunity you're giving your children when they know how to eat, and they know how to respect their body and know their value, and they know how to manage their finances. Think about the things that stress you out in your life. Those are likely the two, right? And then we model for our kids exactly what we believe and feel, and then they learn it from us. So wait, let's go over. So I forget what step we're on. So we were, what's step one?
We're dreaming, step one.
I like that. Yeah.
We're prepping, we're planning, we're flexing, and then the last step is to thrive. It's celebrating. It's celebrating your big goals, your small milestone. It's taking a pause to reflect on how far you've come, even if you've just changed a habit or two, or you created your first budget. Like taking a small moment to celebrate what you've done, big or small, and then keep at it. Like it's a cyclical process. Then dream again, prep again, plan again. Like start fresh and anew with those new goals that you have for yourself.
I love that. I think that that's super important, because if you don't take that time to celebrate, and it's always hard work, you're not going to do it for very long.
Right.
It's the same thing with nutrition. That's why I love the connection, right? So inevitably, there are people in life that are just like, where do we sit in the mindset of it being really hard to create a budget? There's not enough money, or what are the barriers of creating that budget? Because it's not the first time we're hearing this, but I guarantee you people aren't all doing it.
Right.
And so if we know that they have to do that, and we know that that works, why do people not do it?
You know what? I see two camps of people. One where they don't feel like they have enough money to budget, and second where they feel like they have plenty of money and they don't need to budget.
Oh.
And with both sides of the coin, you've got to write down, what you need to buy, what you need to spend in order to become more intentional with what you do have. So if you don't have a lot, I want you to know what's going out and what's coming in, and so that you can be intentional with whatever's left over.
That's awareness, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or find a way to make more margin in your budget. Same goes for if you feel like you got a lot of money, but you probably have a lot of opportunity to be more intentional with your leftovers. So same thing, you got to make a budget in order to be intentional with what you have.
I love that, because even for people that do have enough, right, and they don't have to think about it, I think, okay, if you're just like eating a little bit of food on your plate and throwing it the rest away, you're just wasting. And how much are you wasting? Not even for yourself, but then what could you give to others?
Right.
If you have all of it, let's be intentional about that, and what can we give away. Okay, this is really helpful for me. And what I'm thinking about when you say the budget is an act of awareness. You know what I mean? And I think that by doing the budget, you are forced to be aware of what you're doing, even if it's not pretty.
Yeah. It's not going to be pretty at first, and you just need to give yourself some grace around that too. It's going to take a little while to kind of get in the groove and figure out, what that looks like. How much should you budget for groceries? You might just take a rolling stab at first, and it may be too high, it might be too low. It's usually too low. We usually think that we spend less at the grocery store than we actually do.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So just creating that awareness really is that initial piece, and then deciding how big are your goals, how badly do you want them, and what are you willing to do in order to get them.
Yeah, I love this so much. It really totally aligns. So you guys, the framework that you've done with us in nutrition is really the same framework, but now you get to put it to something else. You continue down this road of your journey towards health and wellness by picking this up, but the framework is the same. So you don't have to learn something new. We just have to now apply it to something just as important and life-changing in a lot of ways. I'm thrilled that you're able to share this with people. And how does it, so I love the concept, and some people might be like, okay, I get this, I'm gonna do. But you as a coach, do you think your number one role is accountability, or are you really helping people to develop their budget, develop their plan?
Yeah, really kind of both. It starts out as that hand by hand support person to help them get started, and then we really transition to being to me being an accountability partner,
Yeah.
somebody that is in your pocket, literally sometimes, just like making sure that like you've got a friend, you've got somebody that can be an encouragement when something goes awry, somebody to ask questions to, and really you're paying for something that you're paying attention to.
I feel like there's a piece of this that you're just making me think about. It took us so many years to finally get to the place where we are, and we're certainly not perfect. I know we could still use a coach. I think about how much further I could have gotten, how much more money I could have saved, how much it cost me to not have that accountability partner. So I think that that's interesting. I think it's the same thing with nutrition in terms of what's the cost of not doing something. So how I know you've got to be speaking to somebody right now. I am sure of it. You are speaking to me, and I'm sure that there are people you are truly speaking to. So if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to know more about you, first of all, you're going to share these 5 things, right? You're going to share that with my community. I'm super excited. Thank you. I will make sure you guys have the link for that. But how can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you to learn more, to see possibilities
you can
offer?
Right. You can find me over on Instagram at Journey to Influence.
Okay.
And then my website is myjourneytoinfluence.com. You can always do free consultations for folks that are curious about what it looks like to work together on your finances.
Awesome. And so just tell people that, you learned about Sarah through us, so that she knows where you're coming from. And I will make sure I put all the links in here too. This is awesome. You have me now, like, I'm going to go have a meeting with my husband. And I will say, like, what a difference in our marriage. And I alluded to that before, but I mean, I don't know. We just celebrated 20 years. I think you're celebrating 20 years at your job, right?
At my job, yeah.
I just celebrated 20 years of marriage, and we always say, like, if we hadn't figured out our nutrition and our finances, I don't know that we'd still be together. It was a major bone of contention for us.
Yeah. Right.
So it's
and
a marriage favor. Yeah. Awesome, Sarah. Thank you so much. I can't wait to hear how people react. Please comment, you guys, on what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're taking away from this. And I know that if you are in this where you feel confident around your nutrition, you have the capacity to move forward into this way too. Yeah. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.